my friends of Cosmic Agency. My name is Gosha. In today's video, Yazhi will explain a little bit more about the reality of the soul and how it operates through different avatars, through different vehicles, same soul, through different versions of people, and through different, as she calls them, stereo sets. And she will explain this on the basis of Yazhi herself, Swaruu, and Swaruu 10, Athena Swaruu, who are, looking from one angle, from an expanded point of view, one soul, one person, but simply expressing itself through different avatars, through different stereo sets, and who just happened to meet and cross paths in the same time in space. And I really love this example of the stereo sets, of different radio sets, because it's the same as soul. The music is not being produced in the radio set. It is somewhere else. But then you have different equipment, different radio sets, different stereo sets, different brands, different models, but they all play the same melody. So it's the same here. Yazhi Swaruu, Athena Swaruu, they have different bodies, different personalities, even different preferences, but they have the same soul because it is being emitted from etheric field. The soul is not contained within the body, within the stereo radio set, but it is playing from the ether. And just different bodies, different models, Yazhi Swaruu and Athena Swaruu, are picking it up, are tuning into it and projecting it and expressing it, but it's basically the same soul. And even though they have different personalities, and of course because they are different age, first of all, so they have different preferences, different hobbies, but on the higher level their soul is one, is the same person. That's why it's very important actually what you say to one, because when you say what you say to one of them, the other one will know as well, especially Yazhi Swaruu, who seems to be more powerful in that sense. She can access Athena Swaruu and Swaruu 10 and her experiences. She can access her emotions and her feelings. So whatever you say or whatever interactions you have with Swaruu 10, whatever she is experiencing, it will be passed to Yazhi, and she will experience that as well as her own. Even though it was explained in the video here that they can put firewalls and they can, remain individual and retain their individual perception, but on the higher level they are one. And this is not just them, that's how it works. That's how it works with all of us. And all of us have these different versions of ourselves and different variants and different us in different timelines. It's just that with the technology that is available to Swaroos, they are sand clock experts, they are time travelers, they are able to cross paths with themselves at different points of their soul journey. And another way of looking at this is that they are the same person, but it's as if meeting herself at a different point of her life. So for example, if you traveled somewhere through the timelines, through the ether, and you met your version of yourself when you were 18, that's going to be a different person. In a way, it's going to have different perceptions, different experiences, even different personality, because we do change throughout the years. But it's still going to be you. It's going to be like interacting as if it is with yourself. So this is all very, 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 very interesting. It is not super common in 5D to have this experience of meeting yourself from another timeline. This usually happens to the time travelers, to those sand clock pilots who are very versed in these types of experiences, and it's very common and very normal to them. Another point which is very important here as well, that they do remain personalities that are different, especially if they are far away, if they live somewhere at a distance. But Yazhi Swaruu and Swaruu 10 here, they are living in a very close proximity, very close to each other, so they synchronize a lot. They pass the feelings, the experiences, the information one to another. So it's just all very interesting, very, 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 very intriguing. But that's the beauty and the magnificence, I would say, and enigma of the reality. But that's how it works for everyone. So this is just very mind expanding, and I wanted you to know this because, you know, some people are still asking how is the relation between Swaruu 10 and Yazhi, who is Swaruu 10, etc. So here you can understand it a little bit more. Well, enjoy the video, and until the next one, bye!
This subject is because I feel the need to clear out many misconceptions about the Swaruu line or the Swarunian line. Even when in context and in absolute terms there are many objective Swaroos, that is, people who look the same and are basically genetically equal to one another, from a larger, more expanded perspective, there is only one Swaruu. What you perceive as many Swaroos is only as the result of looking at the same person in different moments of her life. Only one person here. Nothing really spooky going on here. One factor that created this line is parthenogenesis. Yes, it's perfectly real and quite common actually, and even some human females can do that if mentally adequate. So basically, what you are looking at, as I said above, is one single person looping in time onto meet herself over and over, creating an entanglement of her own timeline. Looping as the result of using time-jumping technology, as in a starship. So, in short, what you are looking at is parthenogenesis combined with the indiscriminate and continuous use of a starship. To be exact, of the use of two starships, both Suzy class, the older TPT-155 and the present TPE-157. Swaruu 1, or Swaruu Ananda, has a daughter called Swaruu 2 that would become the base for her reincarnation cycles. So when Swaruu 3, Swaruu 4, Swaruu 5, Swaruu 6, Swaruu 7 and Swaruu 8 died, each one of their own causes, remembering all her previous lives, at least all the way to Swaruu 1, the first one, they all returned to the same starting point, that is Swaruu 2. So Swaroos 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 are basically versions of Swaruu 2. One way to explain this is using reincarnation cycles, needing and wanting to go back into herself to do it better the next time around. But there is another way of explaining this in other terms or from another angle. 9 different timelines of the same Swaruu 2, Swaruu Papriyananda, can be observed here. The only different thing here to any other timelines from any other people is that they are in contact with one another, remembering. But basically, that's all they are. Different timelines of the same Swaruu 2 or Swaruu Papriyananda. But then, Swaruu 9 changed everything, not wanting to go back to being the same one. I mean, understandably so, as it was becoming obsessive by any standards. As I said before, this is experienced by everyone. The only difference is to remember this happening. And as each one remembered the lives of the previous ones, the next held all the information and experiences of the former one. Swaruu 9, also referred as Swaruu of Era, is a nexus point for all the Swarus, because she stops going back and simply goes on to reincarnate in some timelines into other people as everyone else. And in other lines, she goes on as herself, as her own daughter, Swaruu 10, also called Athena Swaruu, that goes on to have a daughter and a granddaughter. As explained before, consciousness is not in the body and not in the brain. The brain and whole body act like an antenna for consciousness that is outside the body in an etheric field. The brain is a translator for the consciousness of each person in the etheric field to be able to enter through the body into a so-called physical world. But as persons or as individuals, they are not in the body. They work from the etheric field into the so-called material world through a body. See this as a radio station that is in the ether and is the person, the individual or soul, although I don't like that word very much. Then the body is a stereo set tuned into the exact frequency to be able to connect with a specific individual or soul and not another. But as stereo sets go, there are many models. There is the large stereo with big speakers, and there are handheld radios, and there are car stereos with horrible sound, and other car stereos with awesome sound and incredible speakers. There are also small radio receivers that you listen to with your small headphones. They are all tuned to the same frequency and therefore are listening and are animated by the same individual soul or tune, pulling the radio signal from the field that is there but is invisible as radio waves go, translating them into sound waves that manifest the tune, the music, into the material world. So all those different and very different stereo radio receivers are playing the same tune, yet their experience is slightly different because of how they are set up by the needs and the characteristics of each physical stereo set. And even if it is the same tune, they are also playing it in different places and circumstances. Those would be different bodies. That's what they are, stereo sets. But now the sets are two-way receivers. They feed the field with experiences, not only receive. But that means that the stereo sets, the people, the bodies, share the same consciousness. So whenever two or more Swarus put together artificially with the starship come close to one another, they share consciousness, as in being the same person. That means essentially that when you talk to one Swaruu, the other one in the same basic realm also knows everything you are telling her. You are talking to the same person. A Swaruu body or any other in the same circumstance becomes just a terminal for the same person consciousness soul. Talk to one, talk to another. It's the same. They all know what you said, and you are interacting with the same one person. However, although the person individual soul consciousness is the very same one, there are some mental tricks, as in mental firewalls, that do help conserve individuality. But mostly, the more expanded Swaruu with the higher number will have full access to all what the ones with a lesser number experience, feel, hear, and say. Whatever interaction you have with Swaruu 10, Swaruu 12 will perceive it as her own. And that is important.